I've always heard it as Creag Meagaidh, but it could be Creag Meagaidh. A friend and I in 1935 set out to climb it, but had to turn back because of very, very heavy rain.
Yes, isn't it amazing what you can do with a Swiss Army knife when you put your mind to it? This, of course, as you can see, is Creag Meagaidh. It's owned by the Nature Conservancy Council, who positively welcome walkers, which is why they've got a sign here saying, "Creag Meagaidh, come and climb me!" Unlike some private estates who would quite like to throw a tarpaulin over them in rows to keep you off them. It's 1,130 metres high, that's 3,700 feet, and Creag Meagaidh means upland bog. Isn't that romantic? It's a huge plateau summit which you get no sense of from down here on the A86 on Lagan side. Well, the NCC have very generously provided this ample car park. If you want to come by public transport, it's a bit trickier. They've also provided these little guides, which I think has a double-edged effect. I mean, sometimes it can just make it look a bit like a forest walk and a bit touristy and not make people understand that there's a huge hulking Munro up there. But I suppose if you're just coming for a walk, it's quite helpful. Now, there's two ways to do Creag Meagaidh. The first time I climbed it, I did it by the East Ridge, where you can take in 2 more Munros. You drop down through the Bealach and back up onto the plateau. But today we're being a bit sedentary, a bit of a bunch of lazy hogs. We're just going to go up the tourist path to the quarry and do it from there. It's quite sunny and nice down here, but it doesn't look great up there, unfortunately. It's because we have unpacked our camera and our boots. For heaven's sake, what would you expect? This is what we're doing today. The path clings to the side of the glen all the way up to the quarry. The blue peak is a top and the white is the Munro of Creag Meagaidh. The start of the walk's across an amazingly well-constructed route made of old railway sleepers, put here by the NCC to help stop erosion. Now you'd think walkers would welcome such an easy start and an opportunity to keep their nice boots clean, but some say it's an offensive intrusion on the wilderness. I quite like it though, it doesn't half speed you up, and how can it be worse than a huge eroded peat bog motorway? Well, the remains of this old birch forest behind me is one of the main reasons that the Nature Conservancy Council bought Creag Meagaidh, to try and save it from the clutches of Fountain Forestry, who are going to cover this land in uniform rows of Sitka spruces. And they're hoping that by keeping the deer numbers down, that this old forest will regenerate naturally and bring with it all the attendant wildlife, the birds, the animals and the insects, some of which we're enjoying greatly right now in the form of midges. Well, we're 3/4 of an hour away from the car park. That's film crew time. We're 2 miles away, we're at 1,500 feet, and this path inclines very gradually up to the quarry about 3 miles away, where the real climb begins. If you think we're all really big and manly, just have a look at how the researcher's coping with the midges. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Calls himself a mountaineer. Come out of there. Well, this is the reward at the end of that long inclining path. It's Corrie Ardar, it's 2,000 feet up. We're about, an hour and 3/4 away from the car park. It's just under 4 miles. The weather is being suspiciously benign. I don't trust it an inch. This is a magnificent corrie. Behind me, there's some ice climbing goes on in the winter. We shan't be doing any of that in this lovely summer weather though. But the real climb from Munro starts here. We have to go up over this Bealach behind me called the Window. And of course the walk up to this loch and corrie is worthwhile in itself, and in fact that's what lots and lots of people do. So you won't get away with swimming naked in the loch, I'm afraid, but it's too chilly anyway. Well, I'm afraid it's a bit of a scramble up this boulder field to reach what they call the Window, devoid of double glazing salesmen, I'm glad to say. And apparently this is where Bonnie Prince Charlie made good his escape from the English. I doubt very much if he had on what I've got on today, otherwise they would have spotted him as far away as Portsmouth. You can see why it's called the window though, because once you're at the top the views really open up. Well, it was worth that bit of scrambling up there to get here to the plateau of Creag Meagaidh with this fantastic view of the Monaleas behind me. It's a bit chilly up here and I can hear my cagoule whimpering in my rucksack to be let out, so I'll probably be putting it on in a minute. This isn't the summit yet though, there's a good bit of walking to go yet. This might fool you into thinking you're at the top, but it's not in fact the summit. It's a peculiar construction called Mad Meg's Cairn. No one knows why it's there or what its function was, but theories include that it's a memorial to a lost loved one or a protection for a rowan tree. But why Mad Meg is a mystery. Maybe it contains poor Mrs. Thatcher's handbag. Well, this is the real summit cairn of Creag Meagaidh. We're over 3,700 feet up and it's magnificent. And because we're, as I said, in the Central Highlands, you can see all the way from the Torridon Mountains in Knoydart to the Ben Nevis Range with Glencoe and even as far south as Schiehallion, all the way east to the Cairngorms. But I'm afraid it has to be said, as a summit plateau, Creag Meagaidh is a bit big, flat and dull. In fact, if you were wanting to build a couple of World Cup football stadiums, Creag Meagaidh, or perhaps a Barratt housing estate, Creag Meagaidh, or an 18-hole golf course,
Creag Meagaidh.
Indeed, but we're going to make it more interesting coming down because we're going to keep to the east ridge above the Corrie, keeping a bit of height as we go and emerge on the west side of Aberardar.